Hey, welcome to another episode of the Flatty Daddies. The rivers are kind of frozen right now. It's been 0-degree weather for quite a while, and there's just no fishing to be had. So, figured I might do a little reel review on these two reels here. They're very popular, and there's a lot of videos out there on them, but not too many comparing these two specifically. So what I got here is this is Kastking Rover Round, and this is the 60. It's right-handed edition. And then the other one here is the Ming Yang CL60. It's becoming more and more popular. I jumped the gun a little bit, put some string on this already because I was bored. But you know, they're very similar reels, pretty similar price range, and you know, you might be wondering which one better for you. I've been using these Kastkings for a while. I do like them. They can definitely handle some bigger fish. I've caught some 30s on this guy, and I handled it no problem. It's got pretty good drag. I forget exactly. It's something like 16 pounds of drag, somewhere around there. But it can handle them no problem. I'll take them apart here in a little bit, but it's pretty much all metal inside of it. There's one plastic gear, but it's only just for the bait clicker. It doesn't see any tension, doesn't see any real strain on it, so that doesn't matter. It's never going to wear out. But everything else inside of it is metal, except for one little piece in here, and that also doesn't get any strain on it. So like I said, I'll take them apart in a little bit. This one I haven't taken apart yet. From what I've heard, it's mostly metal on the inside too, and very similar setup. And so let me just show you full outside of these things right here. So it says a push, or like a thumb bar, or whatever you want to call that. It's plastic, but like I said, I've had a couple of these. I've had them for a couple of years. You don't have to worry about that breaking. It doesn't see too much strain. Then it's got the tensioner, the spool tension out here and over here as well. I really only mess with this guy. This one maybe is the one you're supposed to mess with. It's got numbers, which really I don't think you'd ever be able to use them out there catfishing at night. You'd never see them. But you just kind of go by feel and how your line drops once you let off the pressure, and that's kind of what you go by. But yeah, it's round. It's all metal. I mean, it's not very heavy. It feels just heavy enough that it feels like it's strong enough to handle what you're going to be doing, but it's not cumbersome at all. It's got kind of like a foam handle. They're comfortable. It's a hard foam. It's not like it's going to wear out. It's not going to soak up all kinds of fish guts or anything like that. Like I said, I've had them, no issues there. And then we move over to this guy. Very similar. I mean, put them side to side, they are almost the exact same size. This one might be just a scotch smaller, but I'm pretty sure the spool is the same size. And you can't see it because I put line on, but this Ming Yang spool looks exactly like this. I mean, it's like it's from right off the same assembly line there. So you can see this. That's what the Ming Yang looks like. So out here you got the tensioning knob right there, but you don't have one over here. You just have this little chintzy sticker, this jewel sticker. It's gonna come off, I can tell already. They didn't even center it on there. But it's got the clicker, same spot, same design. I mean, it's the exact same knob. You know, you can hear it clicking, but yeah, it's very similar. Like I said, just a scotch smaller, but it's all metal on the outside. About the same weight, maybe a little bit lighter. The handles, the little knobs right here are actually plastic. Or I guess more of a soft plastic rubber. It's pretty hard, but you're definitely not going to get any kind of fish guts or slime soaking into that. The drags are pretty much the same. This I couldn't find an official rating anywhere online as far as how much drag this has. I saw in one of the answers on Amazon it said like 8.36 pounds of drag, which is actually very low, but I can tell you it feels more than that. So I think that was wrong. But anyway, I haven't got to use it, but I think it's going to have enough. It's very similar. One thing I've noticed already though, and this is kind of just something that's always bothered me in reels, this has a little bit more slop, and it's very minimal. But when you go backwards, I mean, there's just a little bit before the anti-reverse kicks in. I probably won't notice it when there's any kind of tension on here, but this has next to none. I mean, there's a little bit, but it's much less. And that's something, I don't know, that's just a little pet peeve. I've always hated slop in the reel like that. I don't think it's going to affect the quality or your hook set or anything like that, but it does kind of stink. Now, like I said, I did have these for quite a while, and here's an older one that I've had. This is about a year and a half, 2 years. Now, one thing you can notice, maybe you can pick it up on here, it does get kind of noisy. You can feel it in there, and it's not from lack of cleaning or lack of lubing or greasing. I take this apart kind of frequently, clean it. It just gets that roughness. It doesn't affect how it brings in a fish. It's still got the same power. You know, it's just something you definitely notice it, and it happens on the 70 as well. Yeah, this is the 60. I have the 70 with the big power handle. It's most of the same innards, and it has the same kind of sound and grinding. I'm not going to say this one isn't going to get that. I know a lot of reels get that. Even some of the higher end reels get that. It's just kind of something that happens with these bait casters, but yeah, this will over time get a little noisy. I had another one like this before. I decided to throw it in the river. No, I didn't throw it in the river. Catfish pulled it out of the rod holder, but it did the same thing. So it's just going to happen if you use it a lot. Alright, so now I'm going to get into the innards of this. I'll start with this one because, well, I know how to take it apart. These look exactly the same as far as taking them apart, but this one I can do right away here. First step, taking these apart. Start with this little guy right here. Take that screw out. Make sure you lose every single part you take off. That makes it fun to put it back together. Take this part off, and then next step, take this guy off. It's 7/16, an 11 in metric will work too. I don't know why you would use that, but if that's what you got laying around, I guess that's what you got. So you can take this off now. Oh, that's right. You got to take this little, I don't know if you can see it, there's like a little keeper right there. Good luck. It flies off. Ooh, what am I doing here? Alright, I've tried a bunch of times, keep hitting the camera, but here's the little keeper. You see that I've been talking about it, actually. Alright, apparently I'd already gotten that off. This thing is tiny. It's very small. And then that's just holding this little bitty washer on there. So you take that off, that kind of holds everything together for how small of a part that is, and it's like that on all bait casting reels. You take that off, then there's this. Note how it's kind of angled down. Let me take this off, but see, it's got that angle on it. You want the angled edge going down. That's just how they have it. So now you can start taking some stuff apart. I'm going to start with this right here, these 3 screws. Come on now. Said I'm not a professional at this or anything. I take them apart to lube them, clean them, all that stuff, but I'm not as smooth as some of these people. Just bear with me. A couple more. So that takes everything with it. So you can see it's kind of like a one piece deal, one piece, and then you just got these going through, but it's very sturdy. It's definitely comparable to the more expensive ones. I'm going to take this side off so you can see inside that rover, and chances are you've already seen videos of these rovers. If you're looking between the two, they're everywhere. Lots of people have reviewed these because they're very popular reel. They're very affordable. I think they're like 52, 53 bucks on Amazon, and that Ming Yang is a little bit less, just around 50, maybe a little bit cheaper if you catch it on sale. So right off the bat, price wise, the Ming Yang is a little cheaper, but not enough to shouldn't really sway your decision there. So I'm probably going to lose these screws just because I'm like that. So you take this off, and then you got these little blue plastic things. They'll pop off really easy, so be careful. But one more screw here. So this is what's inside here. This gear operates this piece right here, your level wind, I think they call that. Basically just puts the line on your reel nice and smooth and even. As you see, all metal in here, no plastic. So let's take this off and show you what's inside of here. There's actually a little bearing in there. Some reels you don't have that. Even like the Abu Garcias, they kind of have a brass bushing. They don't have a bearing in there, and so that's kind of a nice little plus. And then this is just a wear plate where it goes up against. That's how you adjust the tension as you screw it in. Puts more tension on the spool. Put that together before I lose any of those pieces. And yep, this is the bait clicker mechanism that rides on this plastic gear that I was talking about earlier. Next to no tension on there. You're never going to wear that gear out. It's pretty thick for plastic anyway. It's got a little plastic bushing as well in there. That's not going to see any tension either. I mean, that's the side to side tension is going to be next to nothing. But the main gear that's going to see any action is this, and it's brass, and that goes against your level wind gear, which is also brass. So that's about all that's in there. And you got the spool. It's all one piece, pretty solid. And this is part of your centrifugal braking mechanism, I think. Rides on the inside of this lip right here, and that way when you cast, when it hits the water, it's pushing up against there, and it's not going to spin as much, and you're not going to get bird's nest. It's actually a very nice feature to see on a reel, especially at this price. So definitely a big plus there. Pretty sure the Ming Yang has that as well. But alright, now I'm going to tear into this and hope to God I don't lose all the pieces. So just unscrew this here. I think that's how it works. Keep unscrewing. Probably should have done a run through. It's been a little while since I've taken my other ones apart. Alright, it comes off. Next you move to these two screws right here. There's a lot of pieces in here, so just be careful when you take it apart. Some long-winded bastards. There we go. No, still didn't get it all. There's also two springs putting tension on this, kind of some pressure. So it kind of wants to pop apart. When you pull it apart, bring it up like this so you don't drop those springs. So these springs are just putting tension on everything. They probably have another purpose. You know, I don't service reels or anything. I don't know what all they're doing. But here's your anti-reverse bearing. So take that off, drop it like I did. There's two little washers here. Don't lose them. But you know, there's no plastic gears anywhere in here. If that's what you're worried about, if you've heard that, it's not true. There's no plastic gears. The only thing plastic is this little piece, and that's just keeping this in there. And I believe there's actually a brass insert. It's not riding on plastic, this piece, but it's actually brass on brass. Crap. But there's a bearing in here, and just for the sake of my reel, because I'm not very good at putting these back together, I'm not going to take everything apart. Like I said, if you really need to see an in-depth review, there's tons of people that did that already. But where it makes a noise when it gets older, I believe, is right here. If you can see that, just where this little worm gear meets this one here. I think that's where you get just kind of that sloppiness over time. Like I said, they'll never wear out completely. Look how they're pretty beefy. But that's, I think, where you get the noise. So, and then the drag system's in here. You know, carbon fiber. I think that's one of the main differences. I haven't taken the Ming Yang apart, but from a video I saw, these are kind of like a Garlock gasket material in here, and it's kind of odd. Seems like something that could absorb moisture, like water or lube and grease, that probably would eventually, you know, affect your drag system. But there's a couple of these. There's like washers on the other side and then another set. So it is a pretty solid drag system. So let me put this back together. I'm gonna skip through that because it's gonna take me a while. Another thing I want to point out real quick, there is another bearing inside this tensioning knob, so it's riding on another bearing. Helps keep it smooth for a while. Alright, back together now. Must have done something just a little bit off because it's got a little bit of noise. I'll probably take that apart and mess with it. But yep, back together. Now I'm going to start with this here, this Ming Yang. Got like a Cobalt commercial going on here with all the Cobalt tools, but it's very similar to take apart. You know, you got that screw, the keeper, all that. I think it's even a 7/16. Yep, same size nut. You know, basically the same pieces to take it apart. So I'll spare you guys watching that, and I'll show you once it's apart. Alright, so I'm about to take it apart. One thing I did forget to mention, this has, instead of the bar here, this has a little push. Really, it's not that big of a difference. The only thing is, it's kind of like a two-handed deal now, where, you know, with this one, push down, your thumb's already on the spool, you know, your other hand is holding the rod, whatever you're doing with it, but you don't need both hands. This one you do. You push the button with this, then you got to hold it, then it's free. It's minor. You won't even notice it after a couple casts. That's how the Rover 70 is, you know, same push button thing. It's how a lot of them are. You'll forget you're doing it while you're casting eventually, but just something I figured I'd note. But otherwise, I mean, it's got to be some kind of patent problem here or something. I mean, the screws are exactly the same. There's so many similar pieces here. Maybe they're in cahoots, maybe the same factory in China owns them, I don't know, but there's a lot of similarities. I mean, even to the point where, see these little dots? Maybe you can't see them, but there's little dots around there. There's one there. Oh, crap. This has them too. I mean, the same spots even. So, definitely something going on there. But, alright, let's get to taking this thing apart. I already spilt half the guts moving it, but the anti-reverse just came out. So, let's take that apart. So, it looks like there's going to be some differences inside here. We'll kind of go the same way. Hopefully I don't have too much string that I can actually take the spool out. And nope, I'm an idiot. So I'll have to take this part off so you can actually see what's inside of there, because put too much line on, I don't think it's going to affect how it operates, but I won't be able to take the spool out to show you guys all the parts. But you should be able to see everything with this back cover off here. same deal. It's got the 3 screws. It's kind of, if you want to notice, that's just kind of how it is with these reels. Very similar design between all of them. So it's, again, looks like well, that bearing came out. There's a little bearing that goes inside here. Doesn't look quite as heavy duty as the Rover, but it's not going to get too much crazy tension on it. Some, I mean, I'm not going to say it's not going to get any, but the spool centerpiece, whatever you want to call this, is definitely thicker on this one. But there's that plastic thing that's for the bait clicker. You're never going to wear that out. It's got a little plastic bushing in there too. So not really an issue. But you look in here, all brass, all metal. Good to see. A lot of reels actually have plastic here, and this isn't, you know, it doesn't have to be metal, but it's nice to see. It's gonna take longer to wear down in theory. So, all right, let's set this aside here because that's about all. Oh, this is your centrifugal. That's a tough word there. It's a big word. That's going to ride inside of here, same as the other, the Rover. It's part of your braking system. When the line hits the water, the spool doesn't keep spinning and cause a giant bird's nest. So, take this apart. It looks like it's got some extra screws in here. Take that plate off, versus on this one it's just these screws right there. So there are some differences, I guess. I don't know why this one just feels smaller. It might just be a little bit. I don't have any mics or anything to measure the outside diameter, but definitely just feels smaller in the hand. As far as line capacity, I think you got the same amount of line capacity and all. It's just so. Alright, so this has the springs too. It's pushing apart. If I could get these screws the first time. Alright. So, a lot of parts to lose in here. So, first thing I'm noticing, it just kind of looks chintzier. I'm not going to say it's chintzy, but it doesn't look as sturdy as the Rover right off the bat. It's also locked up, so I guess the clicker's in. But main thing to notice, no plastic. There's no plastic in here except for this piece, which isn't going to get a whole lot of tension. That's just your part of your engage system. When you push that button, kind of pushes this gear down. I think that's kind of how it works there. Somebody that knows more about it can chime in, but I think that's all that mechanism does. So your drag's going to be in here, I believe. Yeah. There goes pieces. But yeah, your drag's in here, and I'll take this one apart just so you can see what I mean about that material. I saw it in another video. So it looks like they changed it a little bit, actually, but it's not carbon fiber. I'm not really sure. It's like a rubbery plastic kind of feel. And from another video, I really don't want to take it apart because, look, I already can't get it back together. But there's a couple sets in there. There's a metal washer, another one of these, another metal washer. So it looks like they've upgraded a little bit because it was definitely a sketchy looking material before, but this looks a lot nicer. I think it's going to last a little bit longer. So I'll deal with this catastrophe in a minute. But looking here, you also got another bearing inside this spool tensioner. And yeah, that's about it. That's here's the anti-reverse. Looks the same as the other one, but like I said, there's a little bit more slop in there. Nothing to not buy it for though. So yeah, I'm gonna reassemble this and talk about it a little bit more, but that's gonna take some time. Okay, I got it back together here, and just like my other one, the Rover, it's got a little bit of roughness now, so apparently I'm just not good at putting them back together. But it also tells me that there's a chance it's gonna get this rough sound just like this does after a while. Like I said, it could just be me putting them back together wrong, but this, well, this one over here got that sound before I even took it apart or whatever. It just did that, so it wasn't all me. So it's looking like this may have the same issue. So overall, these guys are very, very similar reels, very similar price range. I mean, this might be $5 or $6 more. I think I'm gonna end up liking this one more, just personal preference. It definitely matches my rods a lot better, but it's little semantics there. But as far as casting goes, didn't get to cast this guy yet. My next catfishing video, hopefully we'll get something in February, but it might be March. I'll try to just highlight that as far as which one seems to cast nicer. But this is a solid reel for the price. I mean, the CL60 is definitely the lower end on the price range, but they didn't really sacrifice too much on the parts. Like I said, no plastics. I think it's going to last a long time. It might get a little rough, but I think it's going to last a while. Time will tell, and I'll try to point it out throughout the season. Well, we're catfishing, so hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully it helped a little bit. If you did like it, like the video. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I'm trying to get this channel a little bigger. Just something that we like to do. Show some videos, helps us get it through the winter. But hopefully it helps you guys get through the winter when you can't do as much catfishing. Because up here in the Northeast, Pennsylvania, we don't have blue cats, and the river's about froze up. All our ponds are froze up, everything ice, and those flatheads do not like to bite when it's that cold. You might be able to pull a channel here and there, but it's really not worth going. So alright guys, see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.